In this video, I plan on just exploring the nether in a random Minecraft world I've recently been playing while I read Reddit stories. This wasn't an original idea. Personally, I got this idea from the YouTuber BabyJamie1, so credit where it's due. But, anyways, enjoy the video. This first post is from the user Positive Topic 8, which is kinda against what they're saying here, but basically, they're asking, am I the asshole for refusing to see my husband's sick mum? I, 30, female, have been married to my husband, 33, male, for 3 years. In these 3 years, I've visited his parents every single time they've needed something. Festivals, birthdays, random checkups, even when his mum had a minor surgery last year. I took leave from work and stayed there for 5 days, helping him with meals and meds. Meanwhile, he has visited my parents twice, both times for 2 days, and both times he was very reserved for the whole time. When my mum had a bad flu last year and I wanted to go stay with her for a few days, he said, "Can you manage it yourself? I have work." Manage it myself? She's my mother. I went alone. When I video call my parents, he doesn't even sit with me. He'll either stay in the bedroom or scroll on his phone in another room. Sometimes he won't even say hi. My mum once asked, "Is everything okay?" He didn't seem comfortable with us. That hurt more than I expected. He says I'm overreacting, that he's just busy, that not everyone is into family stuff. When it comes to his parents, suddenly it's, "We need to go. It doesn't look good if you don't come. What will people say?" Last month, when my dad needed help sorting some legal paperwork, my husband didn't even call him, not once. I handled everything on my own after work. Now his mum is unwell again. Nothing life-threatening, but she's weak and needs care. He told me, "We're going this weekend," and for the first time, I said no. I said I'm tired. I said I don't feel like putting in effort where it's not mutual. I said it hurts that he expects full daughter-in-law energy from me while giving nothing back to my parents. He got furious. He said I'm being petty, that this is about health, not keeping score. But it doesn't feel petty. It feels like I'm finally reacting to 3 years of imbalance. I'm not saying yes to worship my parents, but basic respect. Show up once in a while. Make a phone call. Why is it always my duty but never his? And honestly, yes, technically, I could go this weekend. I'm not dying. His mum's a sweet woman and I really bond with her. I can definitely make it. I'm just emotionally tired from my husband's behaviour. I love my parents and really want a nice bond between them and my partner. I have a beautiful bond with his parents. I feel bad, but I'm really not liking the imbalance here. So, am I the asshole for not visiting his sick mum? I'm going to start by saying, no, I don't think you're the asshole for wanting a relationship that has both equal sides with the connection to each other's families. You should both have put in effort with your partner's parents, especially as now they're technically yours. But also, I saw this comment and I just thought it was great. They said it is a big deal to you, and he does not care. I agree. I think that he should have just respected that you wanted him to be closer to your parents, and he just ignored that. So I personally would just sit him down and ask him to contact your parents as often as you do his. Anyways, next story. This next poster asks, told the neighbour that if my kid can't play at hers, her kid can't play at ours. Am I the asshole? Our girls are 4, born 5 days apart. They live 3 doors down in a townhouse complex. For the last couple months, and especially the last couple weeks, her daughter has been coming to ours to play with my daughter. No problem. However, when they leave ours to go there, they're always sent back within 5 minutes. She's a single mum, but her mum and a family friend help look after her kid when she's at work. They have both told me that my kid isn't allowed over there because mum doesn't want to clean up the mess. Last night, her kid came over again, and instead of coming to get her own kid, she texted me and said to send her home. This happens more frequently than it should. I told her that while I'm okay with her kid at ours, this needs to be an equal load share. She said that she wished I would have spoken to her. I tried, and that she's a single mum and doesn't have any help. My partner and I are together, yes, but we are pretty much in the same boat as her. We don't have help. Our closest relative is a 10-hour drive away. I told her that her kid isn't allowed at ours if mine isn't allowed at hers. Am I the asshole? This was a shorter story, but I don't think you're the asshole here. All you wanted was for her to have equal load share. Sure, she has difficulties, but so do you and your partner. So personally, I believe you've done the right thing here. Moving on to the next story then. This poster asks, am I the asshole for predicting our marriage would end over a dog? This happened in 2023, but the details still make me wonder if this was a turning point in my marriage. At the time, I, 35 female, and my husband, 39 male, were going through some rough times. He had recently been laid off from his job, and while I knew things were difficult, I knew between my well-paying job and his savings, we would be able to make it until he found another job. For reference, I always made about a third of what he made, and we lived in an area with a high cost of living. That being said, I still could have covered all expenses if we cut out a lot of extras, like excessive food deliveries, streaming services, the bi-monthly house cleaner, who was a huge relief for my anxiety and stress, excessive gas use in the car, excessive energy usage, and a lot of little comforts we splurged on. My husband had a different take on things and believed that we should be thriving instead of maintaining the status quo, meaning we should increase our hustle. I feel it's fair to note that he blamed me for not getting a job right away. I previously set a boundary that I wouldn't continue to cover for him to pick up his son from a previous relationship when he promised him that he would. He made a big to-do one day about having to finish his resume within a few hours or he wouldn't get a specific job, and then blamed me when I held him accountable for the promise he made to pick up his son again. This was a continuous issue for him. To the point, after not getting the job in the same field, it seemed like he gave up on it and decided to be an entrepreneur. He wanted to breed high-end dogs. We already had one of these breeds and another mixed job we got as a rescue. I didn't think it was the best plan, but I told him I supported him. That was until he decided to get another dog. Again, we lived in a high cost of living area. We already had 2 dogs in a smaller townhouse, and at this point, my husband had stopped doing any cleaning, wasn't caring for the dogs that we already had, was starting projects without finishing them, or cleaning them up, wasn't eating or sleeping, and frankly, wasn't doing anything productive. I was working full-time, caring for the house, taking care of our dogs, and carrying the majority of the mental load, while he was clearly struggling with his mental health. He also kept thinking there were bugs crawling under his skin, and kept me in a constant state of cleaning, sanitizing, and de-infesting our home. I was exhausted. This is where I wonder if I'm the asshole. When he said he wanted to get a third dog, I told him it was a bad idea. When he insisted and said he was going to do it anyway, I told him that if he got another dog, it would be the thing that splits us up. Needless to say, he got the dog, and after several months, we separated. There's a lot more story with DV, his substance use, and his lack of accountability, but I wonder if I'm an asshole for openly predicting the end of our marriage. Well, firstly, I think that your ex-husband should probably speak to a professional about his issues you mentioned at the end there, but ultimately, I think you did the right thing by splitting up with him. He wasn't doing anything helpful and was ultimately using you for all the housework that he didn't want to do. Anyway, this next poster asks, am I the asshole for telling my wife I don't want her to go have coffee with a male co-worker? I, 30 male, was asked by my wife, 38 female, 2 days ago if I had a problem with her getting coffee with her male co-worker. Let's call him Aaron, over the weekend. She approached the topic in a calm, reasonable manner, but I think she could tell I was immediately uncomfortable. I told her that my knee-jerk reaction was to say, no, I'm not okay with it. That was the flashpoint for the past 2 full days of arguing between the two of us. Her general argument being she's not attracted to him and she sees him as a friend that she wants to be there for. The guy is on thin ice at their job and is worried he's going to be fired, while my argument is that it is inappropriate to put herself in that kind of emotionally vulnerable situation because she doesn't know him very well at all, and due to his recent release from rehab for very drug-heavy usage, the whole thing just kind of gives me the ick. There's an important note that reads, we have established with one another that we are okay with us having friends of the opposite sex. 2 of my close friends are women who I knew before even meeting my wife, while her best friend is a guy from high school. However, neither one of us has ever hung out one-on-one with an opposite-gendered friend that we hadn't either had our spouse speak to or introduce in person prior to the hangout. The fact of the matter is, I trust my wife. I do not trust Aaron. I do not care what he says his intentions are. He has repeatedly stopped and talked to my wife for upwards of an hour after work, preventing her from coming home to me and our 2 kids by taking advantage of her polite nature to conversation trap her. My wife is a nice woman. A saint, actually. She's not the type to cut someone off in the middle of venting and say, hey, sorry, I gotta go. But my worry is that she's being too nice with this guy. Aaron clearly has issues, and he's decided that my wife, for whatever reason, is going to be his emotional support. I have a very traditional idea of marriage in that your spouse is and should be your primary emotional support, followed by family and friends. Co-workers take a major back seat to the people who know you and love you the most. I asked if I could meet Aaron first. She said no. I talked to my therapist, and she concurred that, yes, the situation did seem inappropriate. Of course, my wife asked her therapist about the situation as well, and her therapist has agreed with her that I am overreacting, and should not be telling her not to go. The entire situation is making me physically ill. I'm a stay-at-home dad with our 2 young kids, 4 male, 1 female. I haven't been able to focus on anything but this coffee hangout. We have argued non-stop about this issue since she asked. She has accused me of being manipulative, controlling, and overbearing, while I have accused her of being inconsiderate and uncaring. The whole thing has turned really ugly, and I'm genuinely worried this could spell real disaster for us down the line. I have tried to be as objective as possible in my description of events. If you think I'm the asshole, don't hesitate to tell me. I need real, unbiased opinions on this matter. There is an update, but before I read that, I'm just going to state my opinions now. Firstly, I kind of agree. I think realistically, your wife should be able to get a small coffee to meet with a guy who is struggling. Also, she was really open about it to you, so what is it that makes you think is wrong here? I think if it goes down the rabbit hole you're picturing, she'll tell you. Anyways, let's continue. So, it starts with, "Hi everyone, never in a million years, did I think this post would gain this much attention, so I feel as though I should provide an edit to answer some clarification questions I've noticed some of you all have. My wife and I have both been in individual therapy and couples counselling for several years. Our individual therapists are our current couples counsellors, though they've not always been. When we do couples therapy, it is essentially a joint session involving all four of us. This was our therapist's idea. Boundaries have been the most recent and heated topic of discussion in couples counselling. As it turns out, I discovered after the initial argument that I actually have a close friend who knows the guy. They're both local musicians, so I asked him what his opinion was on Aaron, and gave him a brief explanation on the situation. His response was, "I'm not super close with him, but I had the same argument with him with my girlfriend, so wouldn't let her hang with him." My wife has expressly stated that this is not a one-off let me help this guy get on his feet situation. She views her relationship with him as a potential friendship that she would like to continue in the future. He did not ask her to coffee, she asked him. My reasoning that I stated to my wife for why I find it inappropriate is that he has a repeated pattern of going out of his way to seek her help/advice specifically. According to her, the conversations have never been about mutual interests or anything I would deem friendly talk. It's always him asking for advice, talking about his drug addiction. She was one of the people who convinced him to do rehab, or asking her to put a good word for him with their boss, etc. When I stated to my wife that I trusted her but not him, her response was along the lines of, "That's not true, otherwise you wouldn't have had a problem with me going." When I asked her why she didn't want me to meet him, her response was along the lines of, "I don't want to be babysat." My wife has a male co-worker, we'll call him Brad, who she has talked about at length to me. They have a lot in common, and I briefly met Brad once at a work-related function. If she's asking Brad to coffee, this wouldn't even be a post on Reddit. The crux of my argument is that I've not met Aaron. I don't want to interrogate the man. I want to shake his hand, introduce myself, and promptly fuck off. That being said, I had suggested a fairly neutral way of doing this. I recommended our whole family meet up with him somewhere. We exchange pleasantries, and I take the kids and walk around the mall or something while they have their privacy. I told her I wasn't interested in hovering, just an introduction. But she's also rejected this idea. For me, this issue boils down to the boundaries and mutual respect. My wife and I have both discussed this issue at length with my wife's sister. Her sister's take on the issue is I shouldn't have asked her not to go, but doesn't understand why my wife wasn't okay with me meeting him first. Well, that's the end of it, and really, I don't think my opinion has changed, but I do agree with the sister. Anyways, next story. This poster asks, am I the asshole for deciding to stay full time with my grandparents because I don't follow the rules set by my dad's girlfriend? My dad kind of shared custody of my grandparents most of my life. He had legal custody, but they would help out by taking me for several days or a whole week, or two during the month. I, male, 17, was still close to my dad, but we still had time for us and he was involved. But when his work kept him late, it was easier for me to have another home to stay in versus getting home late or being on my own. My dad and grandparents had the same household rules, and I never had an issue with them. About a year ago, my dad started dating someone new, and she seems fine, but she has a lot of rules and a lot of things she's strict about that Dad isn't. When Dad told me he decided to move in with her by moving to her house, I asked him how that would work, and he said I need him to follow her rules, and she was pretty clear about that to him. He said she would be also enforcing the rules, and I would basically need to treat her like she's him or my grandparents. I didn't want to follow her rules. They were so different from the rules I knew, and I found some of the rules to be a bit extreme. I didn't think it was fair to ask my dad to wait to move in with her, so I asked my parents if I could live with them full time. They said yes, and Dad was upset, but he told me if I wanted to do that, then he'd be sure to spend time together. I now live with my grandparents, and my dad lives with his girlfriend. She's offended I chose to live with my grandparents, and she's offended I don't want to follow her rules. She tries to insist on some of her rules, even though I don't live with her, like having dinner with her and her kids, and taking part in making the meal with them. My dad wouldn't even be there most of the time. She also wanted me to join them Sunday for her planned family time. I work Sunday, so that was already a no, but even on my day off, I didn't want to be obliged to spend it there. She expected me to help her niece move into her place too, and she has her kids helping with that. It's one of the rules that you help family move and cancel any plans, you have to do it. My grandparents were surprised she was trying to make me follow her rules from her house, and Dad told her to stop, which she sort of did. But she said she found it to be bratty that I would rather live apart from him than follow her rules. She also said I wasn't showing her the respect she deserved, and I told her she's not my parent and she doesn't get to demand the same kind of respect where I do what she says. Am I the asshole? No, you're perfectly fine. She's being rude to you, and you chose to move away from that, and she's still pursuing you. She broke your boundaries and separated you from your dad. If I were your dad, personally, I would leave this woman. But, anyways, next story. Okay, so this next post asks, am I the asshole for pretending my husband doesn't exist? I, 29 female, have been married to my husband, 28 male, for 4 years, and we have 2 kids, 3 female and 2 male. For context, we are both active duty military. He has more of a desk job and I deal with weapons, and when we got together we talked about how we would execute our household. The plan was everything was 50-50, with the exception of cooking, which I would do, and mowing, him. Recently, things have been a bit strained. 2 kids, a big move, 2 mortgages, things are tight, and that's already on top of a strained marriage. He doesn't respect my job because, according to him, it's what stupid people choose when they join the military. Our problem started when he did his mat leave for our daughter. He changed her whole routine to maximise him sleeping in and did nothing around the house, and demanded food and break the second I got home. So when we had our son to fix this disagreement, we waited to take his mat leave till after our son was in daycare. Damn near 3 months of him doing nothing at home while playing video games while I took care of kids and house while working. After that, we started therapy together to work through these issues. Nothing changed. Fast forward to recently, I just wanted the fighting to stop, so I'm doing it alone. 5 a.m, wake up to get the kids ready to leave by myself, then I take the kids to daycare to go to work by 7, work till 3 till 4, to do whatever groceries or beer or Walmart runs need to be done, pick up kids, get home, make dinner, feed kids, feed husband, clean up kids after, then dishes, then kitchen, take out trash, pack husband's breakfast and lunch for the next day, put kids to bed, sweep, pick up after kids, do laundry, do whatever work I didn't get done at work, then finally bed around 11. My husband leaves at 6, goes to work where he is on hold, so not actually working, and is at home by 10 a.m. Plays video games, waits for food, changes his diaper, kisses kids goodnight, and is in bed by 8 p.m. It's been like this for months. 3 days ago he wanted to go get some beer because I forgot to pick some up. So I asked him to take one of our kids with him, mostly because my daughter loves outings with daddy, and all hell broke loose. He said it was just a quick trip, and it would take 3 times as long to take one of them with him. I said it wasn't about the trip, but good time with dad, because God knows we could get deployed at any time, and this man looked at me like I was cheating on him. So I said, never mind, and walk away. Then he does it. Yells down the hall that all I ever do is fucking talk, and he was tired of me constantly talking about nothing. I normally run pretty hot with a relatively short temper, but this I was just done. I said okay, and that's the last thing I've said to him since. He didn't notice until today, and asked if I was mad. I just looked at him, and he told me I was being an asshole for not communicating that I was upset. But at this point, I'm a married single mum, and I'm just about done. So Reddit, I have to know. Am I? Definitely not. You're basically a servant for him, so if it were me, I would file divorce and leave him. You're not getting anything from this marriage. It's completely one-sided, so I think you should just tell him you're going to divorce him. Anyways, next story. This post asks, am I the asshole for telling my friend to stop committing me to plans without asking? I want other people's opinions, because I honestly do not know if I'm in the wrong here. I am 23, female, and one of my close friends keeps including me in plans before I agree to do anything. I just want to know if I am the problem for asking her to check with me first. She will tell other people I'm coming to dinners, trips, or group events without asking if I am free. Sometimes I find out because someone else mentions it to me. When I say I cannot make it, it turns into me backing out instead of me never agreeing in the first place. It turns me into a position where I look unreliable, even though I was never asked. I told her calmly that I need a heads up before she speaks for me. I explained that I have work and family responsibilities and cannot always adjust last minute. She said I was overthinking it and that it's normal for friends to assume each other's availability. Now she acts like I'm being distant just because I want basic communication. I'm not trying to avoid her or stop spending time together. I just do not want my name attached to plans I did not agree to. Am I wrong for setting that boundary? No way. Your friend is clearly excited to spend time with you, and she clearly jumps the gun and assumes you're always available. But she clearly is afraid of waiting to hear you tell her that you can't come or you're busy then. But I don't think that makes you the asshole. I think she just needs to learn to make sure people can go to these things she plans. Anyways, next story. This next post asks, am I the asshole for not telling my ex-wife about my new relationship? Backstory as follows. Ex-wife, we have 2 children together, and I separated and she took the kids across the country. In the meantime, we went through the divorce proceedings until eventually it was finalised. While separated, she found a boyfriend and said nothing about it, but it didn't work out. Decree was finally finalised, and about 7 months after, I have a work assignment too at a different country, and ended up meeting someone there. We continued to stay in touch and formed a relationship with each other over a long distance. I was able to visit her at her country a handful of times, as she isn't able to enter the US. Long story short, after a year and a half, we are married and pursuing immigration. I never mentioned anything to my ex about my new relationship, or even the marriage after that happened. I didn't introduce the kids to her via FaceTime. Pretty much every time was with them. After we got married, though, I haven't mentioned anything about it until about 3 months later when my ex happened to find out. Now she is probing into all aspects of our relationship and saying I'm going to ruin our kids' brains because I didn't tell them I got married again. And it is questioning when we met if I got her pregnant, why we got married, calling me a bad father for not saying anything and the kids not meeting her, although she lives outside the US and can't enter as of now, but they see her via FaceTime, etc. Just want to get an opinion on whether I'm the asshole here or is my personal life mine and she shouldn't care about who I marry. I get the kids are involved with the process, but I wouldn't marry someone I don't feel safe around the kids. I don't feel the need for her to know about what I do with my life anymore, as she is no longer a part of it, aside from being our kid's mother. Anyways, looking forward to others' opinions on the matter. You're fine here. She dated someone else and didn't tell you, and that was during your divorce process. I think she's just jealous you managed to find someone really nice that quickly, while her new partner left. Anyways, next story. The next poster asks, am I the asshole for running away from my friend and ruining our trip because of a TikTok prank? I, 18 female, went on a camping trip with my group of friends. There's 8 of us in total. While we were setting up tents, my other friend, let's call him Asher, 18 male, went to explore and then came back like 20 minutes later and called me to follow him, saying he saw this cool spot. So I did. When we went to the spot, I told him, it doesn't look that cool, and he turned to me and smiled. Yeah, but nobody would hear you scream. He then picked up this large stick on the ground, and I didn't waste time, and I ran the fuck away from him. And since it was my first time camping and my first time in that place ever, I just ran straight ahead and got lost. So I just sat there trying to compose myself, and like an hour later, I heard people screaming my name and saw 2 staff and the rest of my friends, and Asher, was crying. When the staff asked what happened, I told him, and Asher started crying louder, and said it was just a prank and he had his phone propped up in a tree somewhere when he was saying that to me. The staff guided us all back to our campsite, and Asher looked at me and asked if I really thought he'd hurt me. I didn't answer him because, honestly, no, I didn't think he'd hurt me, but if someone's joked about hurting me or something, I'm not going to wait around to see if it's a joke. The rest of the day he spent in his tent crying, and all of my friends are telling me that while he was wrong for the joke, that I hurt him for believing he'd hurt me, and that I should talk to him and apologise, and that I was being a bit of a jerk for not answering him when he asked the question earlier. I'm kinda annoyed because I just got lost in the forest because of him, and now I have to apologise, so am I the asshole? Absolutely not. This guy was being an idiot, and it didn't even sound like a prank, but mostly, if he couldn't handle the consequences of the prank, was he really cut out to prank you in the first place? Anyways, next story. This next one's really short, but the poster asks, am I the asshole for backing out of a friend's birthday trip because they didn't tell me happy birthday 2 years in a row? I, 28 female, just had my birthday yesterday. I have this friend from college who is taking a trip for her birthday, and it's a big girl's trip. However, with her not telling me happy birthday yesterday, I've decided to back out of the trip, but wanted to see if I'd be the asshole for doing so. I didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars to celebrate someone's birthday who couldn't even be bothered to acknowledge mine. She also forgot last year, but I gave her a pass since at my bridal shower she acknowledged she forgot it and gave me a birthday gift. You're not wrong for not wanting to put in effort for someone who didn't put in effort for you, so honestly, no, you're not the asshole here. Anyways, next story. They ask, am I the asshole for not donating $100 to my grandma's church? The other day, my dad, 51 male, told me, 20 female, my grandma wants all of us to donate $100 to her church charity. I said I'm not doing it. Mind you, I've never been to this church, I'm not religious, and my bi-weekly paycheck was literally $300. I know it's bad, they're cutting hours, retail. And Dad, thinking I'm going to give away a third of that for some church whose name I don't even know is insane to me. I simply just say that I don't want to. The thing is, my mum is on my bank account, so she can see how much I have in checking, and it's a decent amount because I only ever spend money on the bills I have to pay and essentials since I'm saving up for a trip next month and a concert as well. Also, I'm saving to move out, but they don't know how much I have for that. So, anyways, they think that I have to donate $100 because I have managed to save up my own money in checking, and it's more than $1,000. I'm in the process of trying to find a new bank to open my new account. Today is the day my dad is going to see my grandma. He calls me, which wakes me up, and he's talking about me donating that money. I said I'm not going to, and he talks about how some Christmases my grandma will give me $100. I really appreciate whenever she does, but guess what? I never ask or expect her to give me $100. Meanwhile, my dad is pressuring me so hard to donate that. It's not a donation if you're almost forced to do it. Now I know whenever he gets home, he's going to be angry and won't speak to me and say I'm stingy and that he's disappointed in me, and probably that my grandma is disappointed too. Am I the asshole? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I think you should probably tell your dad about work, and I think he'll probably understand. But I think ultimately you have enough money to spare your grandma $100. I mean, I know you're saving up, but it's not even really for your grandma, it's for charity, which is always a good cause. So realistically here, I don't know, but I think you're being a bit of an asshole. This one's really short, so I'll be quick. The user asks, am I the asshole for not being okay with a male friend sending my girlfriend videos at 3 a.m. while we are sleeping? This one's really funny, as it says, basically the title. It's her best friend's husband, no worries of cheating. I just find it disrespectful and think she should ask him to not message late at night. I think you are being a little bit of an asshole here. It's literally just a friend sharing videos at night. All of my friends do that. But also, it's the way you say male friend. Would it not be the same issue if the friend was female? I don't know, it just seems a bit odd that you're picking this one out. Just something to say a second before I end. Personally, I'm not experienced enough to respond to these things, it's just my personal opinion. And please, just take everything I said with a grain of salt. I just thought I'd let you know that, and that's all the Reddit stories in Minecraft I have for you. If you want to read these to yourself, all of these stories are in the description, so go read the originals. Well, I kind of lost everything, and I'm now just going to accept the fact that I'm poor in this world, and I should probably delete it. So, thank you for watching. Guess I'll see you next time. Bye.